Okay, so yeah, welcome to the first session of Power BI, and it will be. I hope it should be a good journey for you all, right? Let's see. Uh, we'll start with the very basics of Power BI. Why you are going to use this Power BI, and we have already covered in demo like what is the overview and what is this tool capable of, right? And you must know, that what Power BI tool is, right? Power BI tool is nothing but the visualization or a business intelligence tool, right? It has even lot more capabilities of AI, artificial intelligence using Python and all, or using the machine learning models, right? So now, uh, our aim is to learn this tool for our analytics purpose, right? And I am keep on mentioning this thing that before you learn any visualization tool, any analytics tool, you must learn what you want to do with this tool, or what is your goal to learn this tool, right? If you are working on a business, so you must have the goal to analyze your business to improve that business, right? To improve the profits, to improve, to analyze the products, likes, dislikes, reviews. So many things are there, right? To analyze your customers, to analyze, yeah, various things in a business, right? So that will be the purpose, and you must associate. The very first thing is you must associate a goal with all of your visualizations and charts, like what you want to achieve with this visualization. Okay, anything you will be doing. So you must have a question. First, you need to ask a question, what you want to do. Then you can go for building your visualization. So let's see what we have there in this agenda, that we will learn this tool for achieving that goal, right? And we'll learn the tool fundamentals, Power BI fundamentals, then the interfaces, how we can get data, and environment settings, and basic data cleaning activities. Before we begin, we should, I should clarify this one, that we will be having here many different audiences, right? Some people will may not know anything of Power BI, and some of you may not many of these, right? So it's I have to take everyone along. So I have to start from very basic and go little slow. Okay, but if you have any one of you who are going faster and you have questions, right? You can always ask your questions. We'll try to clarify. Okay? But you have to bear it, right? That we have to take everyone along. Okay, and I hope that it will be very beneficial for every one of you. Right? Let's see. So we are having this in our agenda. So till basic cleaning activity. Now, what is data visualization? This is just a small theoretical part. So the definition part only. So you have data visualization. You want to do data visualization. So what is the data visualization? If you have some files, right, data in your database, right? You have this data in your database, right? So these data are there. So you would like to understand this data. Why you have all of this data, right? Why do you have in your tables? Because you want to you use this. Why this data warehouse is set up? Because you want to use this data to analyze your data later, that where you are going somewhere wrong, where you need some more additional resources somewhere to do your business. So all these things you would like to understand using this data, whatever you have in your data warehouse. Otherwise, just keeping your data in the database is fine, because you want to just keep your data from the business, and you can just use that data for record keeping purpose. But you are setting a very big data warehouse. You are spending a lot of amount, right? Businesses are spending a lot of amount because they want to use this data to understand the data, and from that data they want to get some insights. And this data, whatever you will have in the tables and all, or so this data will have lot of insights, lot of patterns hidden in it, right? And to get those hidden insights, the normal tools like SQL tool, or the even the Python tool, right? Or any such tool will not give you the easy way to get the insights, right? So these tools, Power BI or any visualization tools, right? These are making all those process very easier to get the insights, right? So all the visualizations are given. So now what is data visualization? Graphical representation of your raw data, graphical or visual representation of your raw data. So we have data in a table, we want to show it in a graph. Otherwise, if you the data, if you are representing in the tables and showing in the tables, will not give you the you will not be able to get easy way to get some insight. And why do we represent the data in a graphical form? Because we want to get some patterns, identify some patterns, right? Trends, outliers. So all these things you will be able to get from this, many more to take a decision, to see some patterns and all. So some insights. And it will help you to make your data-driven decisions in business. Now, data visualization is not just only about using the visual charts and all these things, right? It's about asking the right question, explore for to get the insights for that, right? And that you have to also convey to the users, convey to the business, right? That you have done this visualization and this represent these things, right? And this will be helping you in this kind of cases. Right? So you have to understand that data visualization is the use of visual representations to explore, make sense of, and communicate data. So all of these things together is data visualization, right? It's not just showing the data in the visualization. Right. Now, uh, to get that data visualization, right, we have our many tools and we are using here Power BI tool. So what do we have in Power BI? Right? Power BI, we will be mostly working on Power BI desktop. Three components we have here, two components at least, right? Power BI desktop and Power BI cloud services. So inside Power BI cloud services, we have Power BI model also, right? Power BI mobile. Power BI desktop, even Power BI desktop, you can build Power BI mobile solution, right? So Power BI desktop for building the solution, then Power BI cloud services for sharing and collaborating the solution, right? And Power BI mobile to consume the solution through mobile. Fine. We'll see all of these things one by one. And here we'll start with the Power BI desktop. This is the tool for the developers, right? And here in Power BI desktop, we will build our solution to analyze or visualize the to answer our questions, business questions, whatever we may be having. And to answer the business questions, we will need this analysis to analyze and visualize the data. We need to analyze and visualize the data, and to analyze and visualize the data, we will not have all the data in a perfect form or in the cleaned form, right? We need to transform that data before we use to analyze, before we use the data to analyze and visualize it, right? Maybe this then transforming the data. So also you will have the data from many different sources. That sources of data, then you have to also integrate. Fine. And to integrate this, you have to uh, also to integrate that, right, you have to create that creative model, right, create the joins relationships between different entities, right, between the data, different data, right? And that's what we are going to learn here in this tool in Power BI Desktop. We have all the capabilities of transforming, modeling, and visualizing our data. So let's see. uh, I hope you all have, downloaded. You all have the Power BI desktop installed. So have you all downloaded the Power BI desktop?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
fine,
sir.
Yes, yeah.
fine. So what I would like you to do is I have shared the file. I have shared with you the data files right here in this. Yesterday, I shared a link, right? The Google Drive link. Here, I have shared some data. So these files, I will start with these files uh, in the today's class, right? So I would like you to download these files, and we'll start this file. We'll start working on these files, right? Yeah. So let's see. Yeah. Okay. So, fine. Okay. So, very first thing is we are going to use the Power BI Desktop, and what all the activities we are going to do, the transformations, modeling. Modeling will not be done. So modeling, modeling and transformation and the visualizations, right? All of those activities, trying, creating calculations and all. So very first time when you open the Power BI desktop, that you will get this page, right? And you can see the already open reports. You can see other reports. You can get the data from here. So what we are going to do is going to the Power BI desktop UI. Okay. This is the Power BI desktop, right? And here you have the left, pane. You have this report. Then you have three views of this Power BI, desktop. So here the report view. Then you have the data view and the model view. So you can, whatever model you will be creating, you'll be seeing here. The report view, data view, you'll be seeing all the data you'll be seeing here. And then report view, you'll see here. The visualizations, all the field you will be added, the data you will be adding will show up here. Right? Then visualizations, all the visualizations you'll be using, you can get from here. And formatting of visualization. Filter conditions will be applied here. So we'll see all of these things one by one. And apart from that, we have the tools and capabilities to transform our data, and all these things will be also available here. All this are at the top, right? Under this ribbon, right, you will see all of the different visualize options. Right? So we will be learning each and every tool of this here, each and every tool one by one. Okay. So to start with, we have to first, set our project, right? We will be working, maybe someone is working for UK project, someone US project, or someone working in the other country project. So you have to set up these settings, right? From where you get the data. So you have to first use these settings. And mostly what we'll do, we'll just set the local. Fine. Regional setting will just add the regional setting, and data load setting also a type detection, like the data whatever you will get inside your report, inside the model. So you have to also by default you can do many things. So we are just saying that we don't want to detect the type, column types and all, because we will set it ourselves, right? That will give us more control. And later what you can do, you can just make it to detect, you can allow it to detect the sources, so that you can also, once you have the data inside model, you will be able to change it yourself. You have to validate also those types and all, right? Auto time intelligence, dates, auto date, and for new files and all, so it is also being created. And apart from that, we'll be setting the current files and data load settings will do. These regional settings will apply. And here in the regional settings, let's say where local for import, okay, local determine the regional settings used to interpret numbers. Okay, you have to understand that dates, time, right? These things will get changed for different country. If you have sources from US and you are having a local India local, then you will see maybe the dates will change. Maybe something is broken, right? So for US project, you or from US data, you have to right, you have to set the US project, local as US. So we'll be setting the local as US. Let's use this local United States. United States. Okay. We are setting the local as United States, regional settings, English, and it will give us the other data. So here we have the local setting as English. So the application language, model language, we have set it as well. This thing, very first thing is we'll set the local, so that across all the team members, right, everyone has the same local settings, and there's no data types or number type or other settings. There will be no difference within the team. So we are just setting this first, okay? Then we'll apply the changes and we'll start with this. So this is the very first thing. Now we will be saving this, right, file in our projects, whatever we'll start working on, right? So this is the file we have. And we will work on this file, and this will be the basic cleaning activities we'll be performing. Okay. So we have just added our settings. Now when you want to visualize the data, okay, and we have the retail information. Some retail data, manufacturing data we have, right? So we would like to analyze our sales, we would like to analyze our products and all those informations. The very first thing is we need to get the data. Okay, and I did mention that we'll be working on the Microsoft, data warehouse data, and this was the one we were talking about. We had this, Microsoft, data warehouse as in the SQL Server, and this data is given for learning purpose, and you will find that if you are already working, so you will find that the data is exactly the same whatever we have in the live projects, right? The data will be exactly similar. Okay. And the setup of the data warehouse will be similar like this only. Mhm. And you have to understand that whatever we do here, the same thing will be also available in the data, but you may have little because in the live project you will have data from different sources, many sources, so you will have even more. The scope is little more. right? And here you have the same similar data type setup, the data setup, so data warehouse setup. So the same data we have also in terms of files. Okay, so we'll be using the files, and there is no difference whether it is coming from the database, whether it is coming from some flat files, whether it is coming from any files. When you import your data model into the Power BI model. So in that case, there will be no difference after you import the data, because the data will be available inside your tool, okay, inside Power BI. So in that case, every data, whatever you import into this, right, will work in similar way, same way. Right. Only thing is you have to get the data from different sources. So we will be working mostly on the files, and later on we will also learn how to connect with other data. Fine. So very first thing we'll be learning how we can clean up the data, and how we can also the tool specific to the tool capabilities, how we can use the different capabilities or different tools, whatever we have here, right? So specific to that, we'll first start our working, and after we complete some of the part, we will go for database. You will go like dashboard approach. Okay, we'll now with the starting in the starting we'll go for the data approach, yeah, and tool specific approach. Fine. So the very first thing is we need to get the data, and how we can get the data from getting here. You have the option to get the data under the ribbon, home ribbon. So click on the get data. You have the different sources, right? Excel source, Power BI, and all these things. You can get the data from the flat files. You can go to more, and you can see the categorical, tools, categorical sources. Let's open it. So you have the files. You can get the data from files, different files. So even SharePoint folder, many would have asked this question before, whether we can get the data from SharePoint folder. So you can get the data from all of these. You can get the data from all the databases, right? You have many database sources. You can get all of this. Only thing is, only difference is the connection. Otherwise, getting data and everything will be in similar way. When you are having live connection, so you are using the database capabilities, database function capabilities, and all these things, right? In that case, you have to also take care of that part. Only thing is, we are here, we will be using in import mode. So import mode will have the same, all whatever data we get, whether we get from data file, we get from database, we get from any Power Platform, Azure, or online services. So every from wherever we get, right, it will work in the similar way, right? All the data will work similar fashion. So now we are going to get the data from this text cell file, and this one will we have our data here. So the basic will do the first basic clinical. So we have some data which is very messy and not in the correct form. So once you are getting this data inside the model, right, you have to load the data in the model, or you have to transform it, right? Transform this data. So what we are going to do is first we are just loading this data, and okay, so this data is loaded into the model, right? What does that mean? That we have loaded this data into the model. We have loaded this data into our memory, okay, into the memory, in memory, fine. And in memory, from this, we want to do some visualization. Use this data into for visualization. But you are saying that we have see columns and all, so we can check this data in the data view. Data view is for the purpose of just exploring your data, okay, checking your data. So it is not, it will not give you any other option, right? It will just it is just to see your raw data, because in the this report view, you will find everything is aggregated, right? All the data will be in aggregated form. So you have the raw data here in the data view. That's what you will be having here, right? Yeah. So now what you can, do it. Okay, I think this is the first session. So one of you, some of you are not also able to use this platform maybe. Fine. So let's say what you have is that this data, first thing is the column names are not correct, right? Then you have this data and there are some issues, there will be many issues with the data. So you need some tool to, clean this data. So you have a very good tool, right? Which is the Power Query Editor. So this Power Query Editor gives you all the capabilities to clean your data, okay, to add calculations, to perform some other activities here. Cleaning activities and all these things, you have many more capabilities here, right? So this is the heart of Power BI to clean your data. Okay, you have other other tools, right? Like data virtualization tool and all these tools. Many people also do what they do. Many people try to use Alteryx, try to use some other visualization tool to create all the calculations, to create the solution, to get the data cleaned and all these things, and then they bring it to Power BI. So many people use it different way, right? If they already have some tools and all to clean their data beforehand, and but if you don't have that setup also, right? In the data warehouse, if data is not that clean, mostly the data will be clean, okay? Because in the big organization, right, enterprise data, you will have many different tools before you use this reporting tool. So you will be having ETL tools, you will be having data engineering activities, right? So many things will be there before, and at the last point, you will be using the reporting or visualization tool where you can do the analysis on your data, right? So mostly the data will be cleaned. So if the data is not clean, you will have the capabilities to clean your data here in the Power BI. And where do we perform these activities? In the Power Query Editor, right? So now you can see that this data, whatever we have here, this is some sales information, retail data we have available here. So this is the e-commerce data and fixtures company we have, right? And we want to analyze there are different activities, different, here we have the data, revenue information, sales information, stock information, right? So whatever different analysis we can do, we would like to analyze that data, sales data and all this things. Right? So now, to analyze it, to visualize this data, we need to clean this information. Right? So the very first thing is you are seeing that the header is at the third position, right? The header is at the third row, right? So you have to remove the first two rows. So you have to first the before you start, right? You will have to first think, right, why you are doing this project, right? There will be a definition of your project whenever you are working for any of your client, right? Working for a client, then definitely before they start, they will give you all the information about the project. Okay, that this project will automate this part, this project will give you this benefit, and all these things they will mention, right? So with that, we will have a goal set that the data, whatever we have right now, is we need to do these kind of activities, analysis activities, and all these things. So with that mindset, you have to prepare your data. Okay, that I need these columns, these things, these calculations. So and that also they will provide. Okay, you have to discuss with your customers and all that what are the different values they want to see, right? So that also need to be discussed with your customers, right? So yeah, now we need to clean this data. And the very first thing is we have to set the third row as your column. So you have to remove the first two rows. And we have for this purpose, for removing the rows, we have a tool under this home ribbon called remove rows, right? We will be performing the row activity and columns activities. So we have these remove rows and we have different, options inside that. Remove top rows, remove bottom rows. So remove errors, right? Remove blank rows. So we want to remove the top two rows first. Okay, this is the very first activity that we want to remove the top. So these top two rows are removed. Fine. Then we want to use this first row now as the header. So you have the tool called use first row as headers, right? Under this same home ribbon. So just click on that. Also, the same tool is also available under the transform ribbon. Use first row as headers, right? So you have both the places, the same tool. Right? Now this is set. When you get your data from the database and all, yeah, your first row or header may automatically set. Okay, it may identify the header automatically. Fine, but if if it is not identifying the header and it is showing in your data side, data fields, right? So you have to use that. You have to use the first row as header. Right? You have to set it. Fine. Now we have set up the header. The next part is we are seeing a lot of blank information will be there. So in the actual data, again, the project data, you may not have all of these kind of issues, right? But you may have somewhere, right, with the web data and all other data, right? You may have such kind of issues, right? That you have blank information and all. So now, how do you remove all the blank rows? Okay, all the different blank rows. So you can go and remove rows. Under the remove rows, you have all the remove blank rows. So it will remove all the blank rows. Fine. So first thing is second thing is we are removing the blank rows. Now you can see that whenever I'm removing something or adding something or doing some activities, right, it is creating some steps here, right? On the right hand side, here under the applied steps, right? Here we have the query settings, right? In the query settings, whichever file we are using, is giving this file we are using now. And it is also giving the applied settings. It is just creating for each and every activities we are doing. So all of these activities are independent, right? Not independent. The previous steps are independent of the next steps. Okay, so you have to understand that if something goes wrong to the later steps, it may not. So it will you can go back to the previous steps and go to the correct steps where data is not uh, data is good. Fine. So you can always go back to the previous steps. Fine. And now each and every step will give you, it will perform some activities. So this step we have performed this import data right into the model. Then the next step we are removing two rows. So third steps we are promoting this to header. So like that we have done all of these activities we are just performing here is giving us the different steps. Right? So now, yeah, we have to understand that each and every step, the previous steps are always, independent of the later steps, and every whatever perform activities you will be performing will create uh, individual steps. Right? And you can also later, if you want to change something, right, you will be able to also change it. Right, go to the gear icon here and click on this icon, and you can go and change it. Right, you can make it like okay, row three. Let's suppose I am making it to three rows. I am removing, so you will see that it will give error to the next row. Let's see that okay, it is setting something different. Okay, as a row. Fine. You will see here that in the header it is setting something different because we have removed the header row. Right? So you can also edit this. Right? Go into this. you will be also you'll be able to edit this, and now the next step will always pick up the previous steps, right? Previous step information. So on top of the previous data, it is applying the calculations. Now on the cleaning activities, right? We have this data as a very messy data, and we now in the row, right, we are seeing that some of the data we have as NA, and in the order ID is the unique and key value here in this table, because we are having the order information, right? And order information, the order ID should be always correct, right? There should be some order ID for every order, right? Otherwise it will not work, right? Otherwise the information may not will not be considered correct. So it may be like there may be such cases where we may have we may not have wrong order, we may not have order ID because of some issues, and we other data are correct. So in that case we have to uh, provide a order ID for those. Otherwise, if we have invalid data, we can remove those information, right?
Sir,
So here,
sir,
huh,
excuse me. I have some query.
huh,
If all these files are now the data is in completely row and column forms. Okay. Sometimes in Excel file there are we merge some files. Then how
hmm.
we filter that one?
So we'll merge also that. We'll do that also. We'll see all these activities. Okay.
Okay.
How we can merge data from different files, how we can append data. So all of these activities we'll see one by one. Okay. Yeah. So we'll just go with the basics and starting step by step, and we'll learn all of those things. So yeah, once we complete, you can also relate it to these topics, whatever we are taking, right? You can ask your questions, and if you have some questions, right, you can ask, and if we are taking up those, those things later, so I will let you know that okay, these topics that we are going to take later. Fine?
Yeah, sir, I have a question.
Hmm.
As you said, we are importing the data into Power BI desktop. Okay,
Hmm.
so where it is stored, actually, what kind of a workspace where we store this file? So it is
Hmm.
located in a Power BI desktop or a services.
Hmm.
So,
Services.
so basically, yeah.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
just I wanted to know.
No, now here you are using your desktop, right? And you have the data inside this desktop. That means it will use your RAM memory, RAM, okay? Your desktop RAM, right? Once you are moving this data to Power BI service, publishing it to Power BI service, right? So data will be available in the Power BI service. There you have the memory in the cloud, right? So it will be added, it will be stored there, fine, in the Power BI service.
So, how much, how big data we can store over the Power BI desktop?
Fine. It depends on the license you have, right? We have
Okay,
three license, so based on that, the model size will be decided. Okay. It is not like there is no a cap directly that we can add this much file. So yeah, you will have with the pro license, right? You will have 1 GB of data model. Fine. Yeah,
okay,
we'll also discuss that. Okay.
okay, okay.
Fine. Now here we have this file, and we want to clean up this data, cleaning activities we want to do. So here we can second thing is we can remove. You can see that some of the data are duplicate 333, and you will have these all of some of the data are duplicate you are having here. So on the key field you can find the duplicate information, right? And you can check also, validate also the data before you remove anything, right? You have to always validate in the production data, right? So you have to check this data first, because every entry is important for business. Okay, every entry. So at least for deleting anything, if you want to delete anything, you check it, validate it 2-3 times, because deleting is a risky thing, right? And adding something is not that risky, but deleting something is risky, right? So you have to always be careful of this. Now we want to there are some duplicate information. We want to remove those duplicate information, remove rows, okay? Duplicate rows. So we can just remove the duplicate rows using the remove duplicates tool. Under this remove rows tool, we have the remove duplicate tools, and we can remove that all the duplicate information. So now you have seen that all the duplicate information will be removed based on the order ID, right? So all those are removed. Now, and apart from that, now you can see that you have some invalid data. Okay, you have some invalid data like NA, right? It is not giving any business value. See here, this column. So before that, we can see here some color, right? Under this header, that green color, right? And here also we are seeing some black color, right? So it gives information about your data. It says data quality, right? You are getting the data quality information, like how many how many cells of data are empty, and whether we have error or something like that, right? Whether everything is fine. So all those informations will be given by this color, and also you are seeing these numbers, right? Order ID, unique ID, then you have valid all the 1,000 rows, you have valid data, and 100% valid data, you have 0% error and 0% error. So it is giving you data quality. You can also enable that part, like column quality information, and it will give you all the information. Going to the view, right? Going to the view, you will be able to use this column quality and check the information. Right? Okay. Now, now what you want to do is, let's go back one page. And here, we want to remove the invalid data. So here you can see this is having 99% empty information, and some of the cells are four valid cells we have. So we have to check what are those four cells, whether we have the valid data in those four cells, or all are invalid information. So you have to just drop down, click on this drop down, and you can see all of the information whatever we have. So here whatever information we have, all are non-business value information, right? So we can remove all of this entire column. So we can also now remove the columns, right? So how you will be able to remove? You have the remove column tools, right? So you can remove the column here from here. Right? Remove columns, remove other columns. So if you have selected this column and you want to remove any other column, you can remove other columns, and you can remove the selected columns just by removing this here. Select a column and remove the column. So it will remove the column. Now, you have another option to remove the columns, right? Here, you may have some other data, right? Here, okay, this you can see this is also having empty data. So 92% empty data and 8% valid data. So we have very low. So this is fine. It looks like this is business value, right? So we should not remove this data. And now you have the other column here. This is 99% empty data, and you have some data. Let's see, this data is also not valid, right? So we have to remove this also. How do we do that? You can right click, right? Uh, Either you can go to this tool under this home ribbon. You can go to these tools and apply that tool, or you can right click on the column, right? And you will have all these different options here. The remove column, remove other columns, duplicate columns. So all of these things you will be able to do here, right? So you have to just remove the columns from here. So we have removed the column from here and remove this column, right? Any other columns we have any issues? No, right? All the columns are fine. Now we are also seeing some of the issues with the raw information data, right? Here we have any value, right? And you can see all of that is having NA, all the NA. That means that entire row is need to be removed from here. But this row is not at the top or not at the bottom, right? So if it is not on the top or not at the bottom, right? We can how we can remove it? In that case, we have to filter this data out. Like in SQL, we have the where clause and all, right? So similarly, we can apply the filter clause in Excel file. We have the filter information. So similarly, we have to use here the filter clause to remove those data. So for that, you have to always check your key column, right? If you have invalid data or something like that, right? So invalid data here, you are seeing that this is invalid data that NA, and we have to remove it from our data set. So how do we do that? You have this drop down similar to Excel. Similar to Excel, here you have the drop down, and you will be able to remove filter, apply some filter to this data. Now we have a text filter here. Just click on this text filter and we want to remove this. Or you can apply this text filter and apply this filter from here, or you can just search for the data and exclude it directly from this data set. So what is that data? NA we have, right? We want to exclude the data, so this is unchecked. You just uncheck it. So this data will be excluded. Now, okay, so all other data will be available. Now, any data is excluded from this data. So this is filtered. Now you can see that we have added few more, steps, right? That we have removed the column. So you will know what are the activities you have performed on your data set. So all these activities you are seeing here in terms of steps, right? As a developer. So yeah, and any steps you want to change, you have to go back to that step and change those steps. Right? Now we have filtered the rows and data looks fine. So data looks fine. Do we have any other issues we are looking at? So you have some data here, which is we are looking at this and we are seeing that this is any. So you have to analyze each and every column, right? While you are doing while we are doing some project, right? While we are doing some visualization project and looking at your data, you are going to analyze, you are going to check each and every row, every column, not row, every column, each and every column you need to validate, right? And that will take some time. First, the very first thing is to analyze your data to understand your data, what data you have in the table, right? This is the very first step before you take any project, right? Before you work on any project, any visualization project, right? You have to understand the domain data. You have to understand each and every tables in your column, in your data warehouse, whatever is required for your project. So here you are seeing that you have NA values, right? All the values are NA, and let's see whether you have any valid information. So you can go and check just by drop down. You have load mode operation. Right here you can see all the values are NA or black. So we can remove all of that. Right? You can remove the column from here. Just remove this column. You can even select two different column at once and perform the activities. Okay. This and this. Suppose I want to remove this, so you can remove the columns right at once. So we don't want to do that. We just want to remove one column. And you may have noticed, right, that here you can see only one remove column. But if you are selecting two different columns, right, it is see the remove columns. So Power BI is so intuitive that based on the selection, it is giving you the instruction. Fine. So for each and every work, it will give you such instruction. Now as we have almost cleaned our data, so at least we are not able to, at least the cleaning, the data issues are not shown to us, right? At least we are not able to see those. But one of this here, one of the records like we are having the okay null value. But in a huge amount of data, right? In the huge tables, you will not easily understand, you will not easily know all of these issues, right? So in that case, what you need to do, if you are not able to understand these all of these issues in a huge table, so you will not get it easily. But whenever you have some issues, you are trying to check your database data, and you are checking your files and all, so you will find those issues one by one, at some point of time, right? So you have to perform these activities whenever you are finding those issues, you have to clean this up, right? You have to perform this activity. Now, we have found some issues like on 26th row, right? So this is the issue that this entire row may be blank. So this entire row is blank, right? Then you have this 28th row, which entire row is NA, right? So you want to you want to filter this data 26 and also 28, right? 28 rows or 26 rows, both of these you want to filter this, right? So how do you do that? You can again go to the filter. So if you have any other criteria to filter this data, you can take any other criteria. But we are here, we are seeing that this is easy for us to filter this data on this order ID, the 26 and 28. We want to filter this. So how do you filter? Just go and either you can use the text filter or you can use the here direct filter. 26, you want to remove this, and 28, you want to remove this. So 28, we want to remove. So all of these are removed. So you will see that all of those rows are removed, right? Filter rows. Now, almost everything looks fine. Let's visualize our data in the visualization. So once you have done everything here, right, you have to close and apply the changes. Okay, all the changes you have to close. This is again another tool. Okay, this is a tool. Apart from the tool, you have here in the for the visualization. This is not a visualization tool, right? This is a Power Query editor, which will give you the capability to clean your data and all, right? So let's
But
close and apply. Go to
yeah, but sir, in between, I have a questions.
please, please.
So suppose we have a salary column in
Hmm,
this or a sales column,
hmm,
and we have a special character
hmm.
before salary. Suppose we have a salary like 1,000, but we have a dollar sign before that. Okay, so how we will remove the dollar sign?
We are going to see that also.
Okay, okay, okay.
We'll be seeing that. So now we have the data. We have the data, and here this data we are having. So we want to visualize this data, right? So we have to use some visualization tools, right? That means suppose we have the revenue, we have the sales information. So sales are nothing but the number of quantities ordered, right? So and revenue is whatever amount generated from those orders by selling those products, right? So we would like to analyze those informations, right? Let's see, we want to analyze using the column chart, right? For different dates, or we have the different dates, right? So we want to check the revenue, okay, total revenue. We want to, let's say, we want to check the total revenue on the y-axis. So it should give us total revenue, but it is giving us the count of revenue. What is the desired option? What should be the desired data? The total revenue amount, sum of revenue, right? But it is giving us the count of rows, right? So here you can see in the y-axis, we have added the revenue, and it is taking the count only. Now aggregation should be sum. So here you have this drop down, right? In this data. So just click on the drop down, and you see that you have these options to count, count distinct, and only these options. There is no other option to set this to sum or set this to other thing. So that issue is coming because our data is not set properly. Data types are not identified. Okay, it is identifying now. Our visualization of Power BI is identifying Power BI engine is identifying this data, right? All of this data as text only. So on the text, you cannot do the sum, right? So you have to first set the data type of your data. So in that case, you have to go back and set the data type. Even you can set the data type here also, right? But you want to do the data type setting there in the Power Query editor for all the columns, different columns. So we'll have even more options there. So let's see, we are just having here the option and we are setting here. Okay, let's set it this way, and you can see now you have the different options to summarize it, sum, average, and all this. You can get the sum option, some value. Right? But we don't want to use this option from here. We want to go to the transform data, Power Query editor. Right here, we want to now set the once we have our data, we have to identify all of the column, right? Which type of column is that, and what kind of activities we want to perform on this data. Right. So here the thing is we have to set each and every column the proper data set. So this is the key column. We want to set either a string or we can also set the number type. So is a number type means whole number type we can set. So now there is a question on this, like, okay, we have a key column. So which is better? Whether we should set this key column to number type or we should set the key column to string type. So what do you think?
String
Number
type.
type.
Number type.
Number type, string type.
I think number type.
So yeah,
So order
it's the order ID, right? So order ID we
that
can
will be number.
so these are having all the numbers, but some people have the assumption that we should have this in a string type because we don't need to we should not aggregate this data. If we are setting it to number type, it will give you the property of aggregation also, like sum and
Yeah.
all, right? And this key column should not be aggregated. Key column should not be added and all, right? So for that, some people keep it all as the string type, but what is the issue with the string type or text type? That it will take more space, right? So to one string, right? 2 byte, right? And here in the you have this number type, just 1 byte, right? So data will be stored here. You will save the memory while you use this order ID as the number type. So this is very much required in our modeling because we have also restriction on data, right? The model space, right? Because we have 1 GB data restriction, and in a huge table, right? In a huge table, you will be having millions of data. So each cell, if you are adding 1 byte, so you can understand how many MBs you will be adding for each one of the column, maybe, right? So you have to understand those things also while you are, setting up your databases, right? So now we will be keeping all of our order ID, all of the key fields as number type. Fine. But you have to be careful while you are using these fields in your visualization because it will be aggregated to sum and all because of the types, and you have to set it properly to the proper aggregation, right? So you have to understand that. And now this product ID, store ID, so these are all you can see alphanumeric. So you can keep it as a string. Fine. So it is already set as text. So you can set. So how do you set it? You have to click on the this corner, right? Numbers you are seeing 1, 2, 3. This corner you have to click, and you will see all the different options to set the data types. Right? Like that, you are just clicking setting all these data types. So here is ordered date. So you have to set it to date type, right? And here you can see two different things, right? Here we have the first we have the month, then we have date, then we have year, and here you can see the same thing. Okay, month, then date, then year. Here you have the month, the date, and then month name, and then year, right? And year also in the short form. Now let's see the difference, okay? When we change this data type, and this is how powerful Power BI is, right? Changing the data type to date, right? So now this is changing this data to this date format, right? This for then date, then month, then year. So changing this data to date format. Let's see, and we are changing it to date format. So you can see both of these dates are same, exactly same, right? So though we have different format, it is coming to the same format, right? It is aligned to the same format. Now we have the sales, so we are seeing zero sales and all, so we'll keep it as it is. Then we have the revenue. The revenue is the this is again what this is the currency data, right? So we can make it as fixed decimal. Fixed decimal will give you 2 decimal point value data. So it is all 2 decimal information, right? Fixed decimal. And what is the decimal? Decimal will have retain all the decimal points, right? All the decimal points, whatever you have in your database, so all the decimal points will be shown here. And fixed decimal, it will show only up to 2 decimal point. Right? Stocks are the numbers, right? Whole numbers. So you have to keep it as whole number. Now you have these prices. Prices again are the fixed decimal, so you can keep it as a fixed decimal. You have promotion type, so this will be text only, right? Alphanumeric. This is again text, so we'll just keep it as it is, right? And then you have this, and again you have the. We are seeing that here we have a date information, so we can just add it, change it to date. Right? So change it to date. So now we have added, we have changed it to date, and the other last, information we are changing it to date. So you will find something, some issues with this date. Now immediately it is not changing, but we have some issues on the date. Okay, date formats. So let's see. We want to visualize this data now in our visualization. And you see some issues, errors. Okay, because immediately it was not showing on the header data, quality information, but it is having some issues. Okay, now we are going back to the data and checking. So if you refresh that in that time, if you refresh the preview, it will immediately show you the error information. Now you can see here we have the error information, right? What is the error? You have to go and check the individual cells. So that error cells you have to check, right? And here you can see these are the errors. So you can click on the error and you will be able to find out what is the error. So we could not parse the input provided as date value details. So it is not able to identify the input as the date value, right? Because of the date format, right? Date format we have set the input date format as US, and it is getting some other date format, and for that input it is not identifying as the US date format. Fine. So now we have the issues how we can we can resolve this issue, right? We will see this thing in the next session. Right? Yeah. Do you have any question?
No, sir.
Yeah.
No,
And
no.
yeah, and I would like you to start the same thing. File is shared, right? File is shared in the Google Drive, and you can get the file from there. That is the sales 2017 file. So you can you start, doing the mimicry or doing hands-on on the same thing, whatever we have done. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for joining, and we'll meet tomorrow.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, sir.